Hello, BookTube. My name is Rainer. This is Rainierbooks, and I'm a German guy who's living in Sweden and talking about books in English. Today, I thought about doing three tags together. You know, Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff, he's doing this great series of the whole alphabet, and I'm really lying behind because I saw that he's premiering the M tag very soon, and I was sort of at the G tag. And I saw that yesterday, and so today I'm doing the H, I, and J tag in one video, and also talk a little bit about wrap up of the last week. We start with the H tag. And the first question is Harry Potter related. Would you prefer to travel to Hogwarts in a flying car or on the Hogwarts Express? I fly with airplanes and I go with trains. But because I'm a little bit of old school, I would prefer to go on the express train to Hogwarts. Is that okay? H is for horror. Why do kids love horror? Or you could add your favorite horror titles. I think one of the reasons why kids love horror is that it has to do with escapism, that it has to do with the unknown, the fear that is instigated, sort of, but it's controllable because it's not real. And in most of the cases, horror movies at least have a very good ending. So I think that is why teenagers are so interested in horror. It's to explore the unknown and to escape from the real world of today. And I have no real favorite horror titles. I don't like that genre too much. H is for Hemingway, as in Ernest Hemingway. Hemingway or Fitzgerald. I have not read so much by Scott Fitzgerald. I have not read so much by Ernest Hemingway either. But from the little I've read many years ago when I studied English and American literature at college in Aachen in Germany, I would say that I would tend to Mr. Hemingway. H is for hardback. Do you prefer hardbacks or paperbacks? Well, definitely I prefer hardbacks to paperbacks. One of the reasons is that as I get older, as we all get older, it's easier to read hardbacks because they have a larger print than paperbacks. That's one of the reasons, and I also think that they are prettier than paperbacks. I mean, paperbacks can look like this as well, but the dust jacket is a very beautiful thing on a hardback, and that's not easy to beat by paperbacks. When I was younger, when I was a student, and had not so much money. I have not so much money either today, but as a student you have almost no money at all, right? Then I was like focusing on paperbacks, of course, but today I focus more on hardbacks when I can afford a few of them per month maybe. H is for honey. Pooh was addicted to honey. What is your sweet addiction? Overweight as I am, I should not have any sweet addiction. So the sweetness that the sugar that my body is supposed to take inside is mainly reduced to fruit. And so I try to eat as less sugar as possible, but that's of course very difficult because sugar is basically in everything that we consume. So this is not easy, but I don't have a sweet addiction right now, which I'm very grateful, but I have my weight issues. I'm not losing weight, and I'm always looking for ways to do that. H is for The Handmaid's Tale. If you've read the book, what did you think of it? I haven't read The Handmaid's Tale. I'm sorry, Margaret Atwood, if you listen. So I don't think anything of it. I saw about one third of the episodes on HBO, from the HBO series after The Handmaid's Tale. And I was really, I didn't watch the whole series because I thought it was very intense and it was very frightening in a way. And to see this world after our world of today emerging, even in the fantasy of Margaret Atwood, that is definitely a vision of the future that is not so positive. The last question already for the H tag is H is for Hopper. What are your thoughts on the works of Edward Hopper, the American painter? I love Edward Hopper. I think I've talked about him earlier on this channel and showed a picture. I still, in my new apartment, which I have been living in for 3 months now, I still want to have a print of one of Edward Hopper's paintings on my wall and frame it, but I haven't done it yet, but I will certainly do so. What do I think? I think he's the he's a painter who chronicled the modern society, the development of the modern city in the United States and even in the Western world, you could say. And he also chronicled loneliness as one of the symptoms of this brave new world that we have created. It's loneliness and the development of the city, and it's very American. Of course, Nighthawks is one of the most famous paintings after the Second World War, I guess. Did you do that after the Second World War? Really? We have reached the I tag. The I tag. I is for immunity and inoculation. Have you been vaccinated yet? Yes, I have. I have 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine that was developed in my native country, in Germany, by a couple who is leading BioNTech. That's a great story, I think. Both of them are Turkish immigrants who have studied at universities, at unis in Germany, and who have started this company, and they have developed a vaccine that is very important to stop the pandemic, which is far away from being stopped today. But I have been vaccinated, but I'm still very cautious because the levels of infections are rising because of the Delta variant everywhere around the world. 10 times more infections in America than in June. You have a rise of infections every day in Germany, and even here in Sweden. We have experienced now a rise of infections, especially in the Stockholm region where I live. So we have to be very careful. I think Sweden is again, very naive in the belief that, we wait a little bit, because in 2 weeks schools will be opened here, and then we will have a boom explosion of the Delta variant. Mark my words, unfortunately. L is for Lago. Who's the most sinister? For Iago, I'm sorry. Once again, one more time. I is for Iago. Who's the most sinister villain in your reading and why? The villain in my reading and why? That's so difficult. I mean, there's this guy that is, when you read the novels of Ian Rankin, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Scottish crime writer of our days, then you always have this guy who's the bad guy in opposition to Detective Chief Inspector John Rebus, who's retired now, but I now have to look it up actually, what's the name, because I lost the name somehow of Rebus's enemy, number 1. Yeah, it's this other guy who is the leader of the underground, of the underworld in Edinburgh is Maurice Gerald Cafferty, nicknamed Big Ger. He's always in these novels from the 3rd novel on, and he's the opposition to Ian Rankin's Inspector Rebus. And they always meet, almost in every novel they meet with each other. And I think they also respect each other a lot. But Cafferty is, of course, the great villain that is returning time after time in my reading. I is for Italy. What is the last book you read by an Italian author? Yeah, I know. I actually know that so long ago that I read an Italian author. And if you are experts on contemporary, really current Italian literature in translation, then please recommend 1 or 2 Italian novels to me in the comment section down below. I'm very interested because I love Italy. Who doesn't? But the last book that I read by an Italian author is an Italian author who later became sort of very conflicted, do you say? She is the Italian journalist Oriana Fallaci, who has been accused, and rightly so, I think, of racist remarks. But I read the last Italian author, it was actually Fallaci, it was so long ago. It was in the 1980s, I'm pretty sure, when I was reading both in my studies at the University of Aachen. We were discussing the topic of Vietnam in American literature and read Michael Harr's Dispatches. And I remember that in a seminar with Professor Hansen. And then I found, by wanting to read more about journalism and Vietnam, I wrote Oriana Fallaci's book in German, Wir, Engel und Bestien, which I think is an enormously good book about the Vietnam War. It's, I think if the translation is the same in English, it would be like We, Angels and Beasts. I'm going to look up the English title and put it inside this video. That was the last book I read, but I'm very interested in reading fiction from Italy, so please. She's a princess of Little Italy. I is for Ireland, the Republic of Ireland. Who is your favorite Irish author? And once again, I'm scared to say it, but no, I'm not scared to say it. I don't read much Irish authors, and I should read more of them, right? So I have to say that this year I read a novel by the Irish crime novelist TANA French, and I would name her because she's sort of the Irish author that I read the most the last decade or so. I have to read more Irish authors as well, and Italians, and whatever. And Indonesian, and Indian. I is for ink. Do you have any tattoos? What do you think of tattoos? If you wish, you may show and explain your tattoos. Okay, no, I don't have any tattoos. I have a friend in the generation below me, so to speak, who has told me that in her generation, she thought that everybody would have tattoos. I think it is a difficult question. I really don't like it when people use their whole body as a canvas for tattoos, because there are people who are tattooed all over their bodies, and I don't like it, but everybody, it's your decision. I mean, go ahead and do it if you want. Ink is beautiful, right? I don't like it, but I wouldn't do it. I think so. Maybe one, but not more than one. And not a big one, but a smaller one. And I can't think of any subject or image I would use. But in Japan, as you might know, there are a lot of bathing houses called onsens. And if you want to go to an onsen in Japan, I read that in my travel guide, I'm not sure if it's true, but I guess it's partly true at least, you are not allowed to have tattoos. Even as a tourist, if you have tattoos on your body, you will be sent out. That's what I read. Because in Japan, tattoos are very much connected to the Japanese mob, the Yakuza. And that's why they don't want organized crime people in the bathing houses. So that's Japan, which might appear again under the J tag. We don't know. I don't know yet. So we're still eyeing here. I is for inspiration. What book inspired you to do something? What book inspired you to do something? Books always inspire me. A lot of books, the good books, inspire me always to do something, I think. At least they do inspire me to learn more about if they have a subject of interest from society or another country or the history of another country. They always inspire me to go out and look for more information, to go out on YouTube, for example, and you have more information. Currently I'm reading How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherie Jones from Barbados. And I will definitely, I haven't yet, but I promise, I will definitely look at videos and documentaries about Barbados to get a feeling for this island that the book is placed on. And also I can say that a lot of books by Michael Connelly, for example, by Ian Rankin, crime authors, but also other more literary fiction authors inspire me to listen to the music that they sort of mention in their texts. That's also something that I'm currently doing. And more things, but books really inspire. That's one of the reasons why we read books, right? I is for Istanbul. Which city or cities would you like to see before you die, and why? Oh my gosh. That's a question. Well, if I is for Istanbul, I've never been to Istanbul. Would I like to go there? I don't know yet. I didn't want to say because right now there is not such a very nice government in Turkey. And I know that the Turkish people are very, very nice and welcoming. But I have certain thoughts about the political situation. And that's also the political situation in a lot of countries that keep me from traveling there or from wanting to travel there, because right now we don't travel anywhere. We have a pandemic going on and we shouldn't go abroad. We shouldn't carry the virus to other countries. We shouldn't import the virus from other countries, and shouldn't mingle with a lot of persons from other countries and from other environments to sort of stop this pandemic so that we are being able to live normal lives again. But which cities, back to the question, which cities do I want to visit? There are so many, and I know that I'm not going to visit them all before I finally leave this planet. Let's go to the United States and Canada, because there are so many cities that I want to see in the US. I want to go to Nashville because I'm a big fan of alternative country music, and I want to sort of breathe that air. I want to go to more rural America, to states like Montana or Wyoming, and to see cities, towns there. I want to see Montreal in Canada. I love Arcade Fire, I love Malajube, I love Wolf Parade from Montreal, and there are probably many other bands that I don't mention here. So, but also to Toronto, and I have been to a lot of cities that I really like, but I also want to go to New York. I've never been to New York. Ich war noch niemals in New York. Ich war noch niemals auf Hawaii. That's a very beautiful German Schlager by Udo Jürgens, who died a couple of years ago. He was the greatest. He was an Austrian singer of Schlager music. I want to go to Boston, I want to go to Harvard, I want to go to at least one or two cities in South America, maybe Buenos Aires. It could be very interesting. I would love to go to Korea, South Korea, to Seoul and other cities in Korea. I would love to see South Korea. That's really a country that is interesting me a lot. And I also want to revisit Japan, Sapporo, and Kagoshima, for example, in the very south of Japan. It's very interesting to me. Australia and New Zealand is too far away, almost, but why not? So the list could be longer. And Italy, I've seen Italy. I've seen a couple of places in Italy. I have to go to Naples. I want to go to Palermo. I want to see, love to see Madrid in Spain and Porto in Portugal. So how much time do we have? I could go on and on and on. On and on and on. Keep on rocking, baby, till the night is gone. Yeah. Okay, this is going to be a long video. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself some cakes, and come back. Okay. I is for many book titles. What is the last book you read beginning with an I? Oh yeah, I have it. That is not so long ago, just a few weeks. That was Infinite Country by Patricia Engel, a book that I highly recommend for everyone to read. It's a beautiful book about a Colombian family and their immigration to the United States. Great book by Patricia Engel, who is a Colombian-American author. And now we have reached the letter J. J, the J tag. J is for Japan, one of my favorite countries. What was the last book you read by a Japanese author? The last book that I read by a Japanese author was First Person Singular, and this is the newest book with stories by the great Japanese author Haruki Murakami, who is one of the most well-known authors in the whole wide world. So that was the last Japanese book, but I also read a Japanese classic, which I'm very proud of, because my classic reading sucks a little bit. But I read this year in Snow Country by Yasunara Kawabata, which I'm very happy about. And I have more Japanese books that came in recently that I will show to you in a book haul in one of the next future videos. J is for Jamaica. What was the last book you read by an author from the Caribbean? The last book that I'm reading from an author from the Caribbean is Sherry Jones' How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House. It's as easy as that. And before that, and the last book that I read from a Caribbean author, if I'm allowed to count Angie Cruz, who was born and raised and lived in America all her life as a Caribbean author because she has her roots in the Caribbean, if I'm right, and the Dominican Republic. Is the Dominican Republic a part of the Caribbean? This book was Dominicana, and I really loved it. This is about the immigration of the generation of her mother to New York and how life was for those women. It's sort of an homage to the women of the generation of her mother. J is for Jane Austen in July. What are you reading for Jane Austen July 2021? If you're late to the party, what did you read for Jane Austen July 2021? Nothing. I am not taking part in Jane Austen July. I've never done so. I might do so in the future because I realized that I have to read something by Jane Austen if Jane Austen is so fascinating for so many out there. J is also for James Joyce. What is your favorite novel by James Joyce? Have you been brave enough to tackle Finnegan's Wake? The answer is no. I haven't read anything by James Joyce yet. Also one of my great weaknesses. More classics, Elena, more classics. J is for joke. Tell us a bookish joke. There's this joke about a bookstore, and this guy walks into a bookstore and he asks the shopkeeper who's working there, "Do you have any books on turtles?" And the shop owner replies, "Hardback?" And the customer replies, "Yes, with little heads." I'm not good in telling jokes. I think I have reached the last prompt of the 3 tags that I did today, H, I, and J. This is J is for Jaguar. Enzo Ferrari described the Jaguar E-Type as the most beautiful car in the world. What do you consider the most beautiful car in the world? And that's a question that you're asking someone who hasn't had a driver's license for all of his life. So, but nevertheless, I have seen cars, of course, and beautiful cars. Is there beautiful cars? Cars have ruined this planet. They have built up the wealth of many of our countries, but they also have ruined our planet. Beautiful cars. But as everybody, I think I like very old American cars, the one that eat like 20 or drink 20 or 25 liters per 100 kilometer. There's so many beautiful cars, from the 50s and 60s, from the American Graffiti time of the George Lucas movie, which I loved, one of my favorite movies, by the way. Something to reveal here. I like these old American cars, and I will maybe a Buick Impala. Is that a good car? What does a Buick Impala look like? I don't even know that, but it sounds good, right? A Buick Impala, 1967 model. Yeah, I go for the Buick Impala 1967. And that was the J tag, everybody. And thank you very much for having the patience to listen to the H, the I, and the J. And thanks very much for Jim for providing us with all these beautiful tags and prompts. Thanks very much for watching this video. I will soon return to this channel. Please do so you yourself too, and write a comment down below about your favorite car, but also about Italian novels, but also about maybe Irish books that I should read, and everything else that comes into your mind when you have seen this video. Stay safe, wear a mask. Pandemic is rising up again. I don't know if we get through this ever, but we have to try, we have to fight. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.